So if you haven't noticed, gas prices are going up, home prices are going up, but guess what else is going up? The loan limits. Hello everybody, my name is Barry Horvath and this is Moving Forward TV with your local market update.
And I am DeLynn Gaston. Thank you so much for joining us today. It seems like it's been a while.
It has been a while.
I know it has been a while.
And this year is almost over.
We're on the downslide now, you know?
Downslide. I think we're on the upslide because if you haven't noticed, the market's really moving.
I know.
In many ways too, not just like properties are moving. Seems like a little more properties are available.
Yep.
Rates are moving.
Yes.
I mean, the stock market is rolling. When I say rolling, I mean, you know, 3 steps forward, 2 back.
I was just going to say that, and it's not
really
necessarily
volatile.
just changing in one direction. It is literally going up and down.
And of course, for anybody who knows anything about the markets, that affects the bond rate. And when people are, you know, hiding and feeling unsafe from the market, they go to bonds.
Right.
When they go to bonds, it drives up the bond market.
Which drives down the mortgage rates.
Right.
So just keep in mind in the back of your head, most of the time the bond market runs opposite the stock market. So I hate to say this, but when stocks are crashing, mortgage rates are going down.
Yeah, more than likely. But I'll tell you this, we're telling people right now, if you see a rate and you like it, lock it in.
It's too volatile to float and play around with that right now.
Yeah, it's a very dicey time. But with that, we know that prices are going up.
Right.
Right. I mean, not just at the gas pump. Sorry, I had to throw that in. I know that was because that kind of hurts. I mean, we're at
that
really
hurts.
I know. When I'm paying over $4 for premium now, that's just like, ew.
Hopefully that's going to kind of stabilize.
Yeah.
And come down. I'm hoping that's a lot. Part of that anyway is just kind of because of the holidays. People are traveling more, and you know, so they always like, hey, it goes up just a little bit.
You know what it's from? COVID.
Greed. COVID.
It's COVID.
It's COVID. COVID did it. Drove.
Hey, have you been out to eat lately?
Actually, it's the new variant, though.
Yeah, it's the new variant. The fuel variant.
Have I been out to eat yet?
Oh my
I don't
God.
cook, so
I mean,
yes.
Yeah. I mean, the price of food is going through, I mean, everything's going up. So it would only make sense that the loan limits, because of the increased pricing in the market, would have to go up.
And that's the thing. So every single year anyway, the Fannie Mae, the Federal National Mortgage Association, Freddie Mac, Federal Home Loan Mortgage Corporation, changes the conforming. Now I wanted to get this clear too, because there's a lot of confusion on this. When we say conforming, you guys all know conforming also means conventional. Conventional loans are Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. That is your conventional loan, because I've had a realtor say, oh no, we're not using Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, we're going conventional. No, conventional conventional is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac are the people who make up the mortgage rolls for the entire country. And there are conforming limits. We call it a conforming limit. Under a certain amount, that's a Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac loan. Anything over that is called a jumbo. And those of you who are in the jumbo markets, you know, your $1 million homes and such, you already know that. The rules, regulations, and guidelines change tremendously once you get over the Fannie Mae conforming threshold amount, which up until last year was, or for all of this year, is I don't even know now. I know the new one.
I know
420. No, 548.
Right, it was 548.
548.
And we've had a big jump this year.
Huge jump. Are you guys ready?
Yeah,
Ding,
ready?
ding, ding, ding.
647,250. So
Whoa.
You know, and most your jumbo programs, you're not going to get in for less than 5% down.
Right.
So really, if you think about it, you're looking at a $700,000 house now. And that's not uncommon. That's very common.
Right.
Now, I don't think we're far off from that becoming a new normal price in this market. I hate to say it, but
I know.
And you know what I was thinking about? The new FHA limits being at 420.
That's the one that really blows my mind.
420,000 for an FHA limit. So
I can remember just a few years ago.
that was the conventional.
Yes. Yeah, and you're right. And
it was just a conventional.
The FHA was 260 or something like that. And that was just a couple of years ago. So this has gone up fast and furious.
What does that mean to you in layman's terms as an FHA buyer? I mean, with conventional, you could always put more down. But with an FHA program now, you know, you're going to be able to buy a house that's $40,000 and still qualify for an FHA loan, which is good news for a lot of the first-time buyers. And remember, FHA is not just for first-time buyers, so I want to make that clear. But for someone who's doing a low down or maybe has some credit challenges, there are some huge benefits to FHA. And, you know, and people are afraid of them. Don't be afraid of them. It's the best loan going, really. I mean,
it is.
Outside VA. So
right, VA is definitely the best loan ever invented.
Yes.
And FHA is right up there. And yeah, I know, I never, ever thought that we would have been talking about their loan limit has increased to $420,680. $420,680. That's crazy. And I never would have thought that we would be talking about a low down payment loan of $400,000.
I know. So now you're getting into a $400,000 house for like 14 grand.
Right.
Down payment. I mean,
did you ever think you'd be able to buy a $400,000 house with only $14,000?
Oh, and then we're going to do down payment assistance with those?
Yes, and you can do down payment assistance with those. The down payment assistance is coming out to be, you know.
Well, there's caps on certain county programs, so be wary of, you know.
I know.
Let's consider that.
Yes,
all right,
there are.
So we've covered that. Let's talk about, I know you're doing an upcoming presentation, and we wanted to give a sneak little peek preview of what you're going to be sharing because, you know, we're getting contracts. I'm really proud of our team.
I love our team.
And we closed a condo last week while you were away, by the way, in 11 days.
I was here for half of it.
It's okay, you weren't here. We didn't see you, so you're always working whether you're around or not. But we closed one in 11 days with condo approval.
Did you hear that, folks?
11 days.
11 days.
But that's not normal, okay? We want to show you what's normal. So every once in a while you get one on fire, but you can't bring us every file on fire. We want to show you why and what happens in the life of loan. And I know DeLynn gets giddy when we talk about this stuff because she loves educating people on what really happens in the loan process.
I get that. I get that question a lot. You know, kind of like people will say, well, you know, can you do it in less? You know, 30 days. Oh, the sellers want to close in 2 weeks.
Well, of course they do.
The seller should not be choosing that.
No, the seller should never.
The listing agent, need to educate them, and we're going to give you the tools on how to educate them with that.
And you know what's funny? It's not about what's convenient. It has to be about what's going to work, what's logical, what makes sense. And we want to show you why it makes sense to get at least a 30-day contract. Maybe a 40 is better in some situations to protect your buyer. And I know sellers are like, well, so-and-so bank can do it.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm going to take the contract that has 30 days instead of the one that has 40 days. And I know a lot of people are writing contracts. I have somebody who just wrote one again, and it's a 30-day contract, and we have Christmas and New Year's in here.
Yeah. And it's tough. It really is.
It's hard. So, and we want to show you guys how
so what really happens, and we're not even going to talk this week about what can go wrong and the pitfalls of it, because we don't have time for that.
30 days in the life of a perfect loan.
Yeah, so this week we're going to talk about the perfect loan. If we get to the pitfalls, it'll probably be next week. So it's kind of the way it is.
All right, so we have a nifty-difty calendar here that we can throw up and show you. I was looking for a calendar that I wanted to start on a Monday, and it just so happens November of 2021 was a Monday, so we're going to pretend that Thanksgiving is not in this month. We did that in
And the
another
day
month.
after, that
Because
no one's
this
open.
just shows you 30 days, literally 30 days in the life of a loan, what's going on. So starting with, let's say, you can see Sunday there, contract signed. So on the 30th or the 31st of the previous month or whatever, we signed a contract. So day one of the loan, so to speak, we receive the contract, immediately get on the phone with the borrower, fill out the rest of the application. And the reason why I say fill out the rest of the application is because we are assuming that this person has already been pre-approved. So they've already been, and you guys all you're good about getting those pre-approval letters. So we already have this customer, most of the time we already have them in our system. We already have a good
They're already
portion
set up
of
in our
their-
quick qual
Right.
system, so
And our
they can do
quick
their
qual.
own pre-approval.
Yep. And we've hopefully most of the time received their documents. Now, sometimes I know we have people who it takes them months to find a house. So we still need updated documents, right? I can't go off of
Years.
their bank statement from 6 months ago.
Right.
We need, current stuff. So what we're doing is day one is we're rounding out the application, I call it. We're filling in all of the holes. Any changes that happened, they switched departments, they changed jobs, things like that might happen. And we're gathering the rest of the documents.
And we're also choosing which loan program that they're going to go into. I know
Exactly.
sometimes that changes once they get in the process because, sometimes they're like, well, they went a little higher on their purchase price,
Right.
and they didn't have as much down, so we may have to shift gears on which loan program they're
Right.
going on. Or when we update and look at their credit again, maybe
Something changed.
something changed. They had another debt, so now they don't qualify for conventional, so we had to move them to FHA or VA because they allow higher debt ratios. So those things can happen all on day
Right.
one.
Yes,
In the life of a
usually
loan.
does within the first day or two. And you all know who work with us that immediately we're on the phone with you saying, hey, this just came up. This is our fix for it. Are you okay with us,
And
switching
of
programs
course,
or whatever
all of
it
our
might be.
power agent partners out there get us the contract the very same day that the buyer and seller sign it. So it's in our inbox like immediately.
Immediately.
So
All right, and then, so day two, we are doing the disclosures on this. So hopefully we've gathered everything together. We're doing the disclosures. We're going over the figures with the client. Like Barry said, this is where, you guys went and bought a car or whatever it might be.
Or you spent the money that was in your bank account.
We've had that happen too. Somebody went and bought fish for $3,500. I'm not kidding.
You know who you are.
Can't make this stuff up.
Sorry if you watch this show. Those were some expensive
So we go over all of the figures again, make sure everything is still as it was supposed to be, and we do the disclosure package and get their signatures. Keep in mind, any lender, not just us, any lender, we are not allowed to order an appraisal.
I was just going to ask you, DeLynn, did you order the appraisal? Because that's the first question.
I know, it is. I'll get a contract on Sunday night and they say, can you order the appraisal tomorrow morning? No, we're not allowed to. We are not allowed until that customer signs those application papers, which gives us the okay then to order the
And
appraisal.
that's
we have
not-
to have their signature before
That's
on an
not our rule.
application
That's
with
not
the
our rule.
property.
That is the law.
That is the law.
Yes.
So we can't just do that, but we do things very quickly. So then by somewhere between day 2 and day 3, you can see on our little calendar here, that's when we're starting all the ordering. Once the client has signed the documents, that's when we can order the appraisal. We also order the verifications of employment, the verifications of deposit, their bank account information, account check it's called, the title work, all of those things are ordered. The 4506 from the IRS, all of that stuff is ordered right then and there at the beginning of the transaction.
And we're also gathering the up-to-date pay stubs, the most
Yes.
recent bank statements, any other financial statements that they
Right.
may be using for down payment. We're also having to gather those. And when page 6, that was blank, did come over with the bank statement that the borrower decided we didn't really need it because it was blank, we have to go back and get that page 6 that was blank.
And you know how many times the client throws them away? I can't even begin to tell you, I just threw that page away because I don't need it.
Thank goodness for account check
Yes.
which is our verification system that we can actually retrieve that information.
In most cases. Now, down here in Florida, you guys all know this, so many people move from out of states. Well, they've got this little tiny credit union up in Michigan.
Yes.
Yeah.
and they don't subscribe to it.
They don't subscribe
And they
to
don't have
national
online
verification systems, and they don't have online banking.
And we didn't even talk about the fact that you got to walk in to give a wire.
I know. I know, right? We actually had more than one customer who has had to fly home to do the wire because they're in this little tiny credit union that doesn't do wires over the phone.
But their fees were lower. All right, let's move on.
That's why we're doing this. The stuff that we run into. So no, the stuff we run into. So anyway, so once all of that is ordered and everything goes to the processor. Once all of the orders are placed for all of those things that we need to put the file together, it goes to the processor. Processing time takes about a week, guys. Regardless of what you do, it takes about a week because the processor, she's got to get all this stuff in, and we can't even begin to tell you how many times employers don't complete the paperwork, or they don't sign it, or they don't complete it they'll just fill out like half of it and not the other half of it.
And
there's a lot.
what DeLynn is referring to is a verification of employment, because most employers, we have to verify the exact dates they start, salaries, commissions, bonuses, etc. Just because we got it on a pay stub doesn't mean, with all the fraud that happened in the past, unfortunately, another person has to sign their name to it that say, yes, this is what they got. And they don't have a pay stub in front of them to copy, They have to come up with the numbers. So it can be time consuming.
So you can see the week, that second week there, that's when your processor is going to town on that file. And she is working her buns off, making sure all of that stuff comes back. She's calling the employer, she's on top of it, she's checking the IRS stuff, she's on top of all of that stuff. But there's a lot of moving parts in there that that she's got to stay on top of to make everything happen. So her job is to prepare the file, make sure everything is in there and prepare it for underwriting. So you can see towards the end of the week there, hopefully by then everything has come back and she's ready to submit this file to the underwriter.
And we're hoping it wasn't a condo, because that's a whole other separate set of documents.
More stuff that has to be added, and you guys all know that with the condo documents.
We have to approve the condo as well as the borrower. So
if you have a condo, please cushion an extra couple of days for the condo information to come through.
Or a construction loan where the contractor has to be approved.
So you can see on November 12th there, the 12th I have is the appraisal back. I'm hoping now in today's world, he's giggling because in the old days it was like a week, maybe 10 days. Now that's turning into 2 weeks to sometimes even 3 weeks on appraisals. Sometimes we get them in one. It depends. Appraisals are all over the place, and you guys know that too, as far as the turn time on them. Some of them are coming real quick. We have no idea why. Others take 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks, which drive all of us crazy. But in any event,
I think the appraisers are actually cherry picking. They're taking the easiest ones, and I'm not knocking. I don't blame them. We want the best loans, the cleanest. They're taking the ones it's easy to find comps. A lot of them are looking at them before they ever even accept the order. And unfortunately, they also have to look at their paycheck.
Right.
People,
how many can I get done? I can get the easy ones done fast, and bang out 3 of them in the time it's going to take me to do this one waterfront mobile home.
And and different lenders actually, some have AMCs that take a cut of their fee. Some pay more, charge more, and appraisers are actually sitting there taking the cream of the crop, saying, I'm not taking, if you're going to get paid $450 from one lender and $350 from another, which one are you going to pick first? Of course they're going to, it's just like in real estate. If this one pays 2% commission, this one pays 3%, of course they're going to show the 3% home first. So it's just,
I want probably not the time to bring it up on this show, but appraisal fees are going up, guys. Just keep that in mind as well. Appraisal fees are definitely going up.
Well, their costs are going up. It's all because when we started the show, we talked about fuel prices. They're driving to these houses. They got it. Their costs are going up. Their software is going up. So everything.
Yeah. We're all trying to get the lowest costs and such like that for our buyers, but that might come with, again, if lender A is charging, $600 for an appraisal, the appraiser's going to take that file over somebody who's
Absolutely.
not paying as much. Let's face it, as much as we're trying to get the lowest cost possible, it's all bottom line. It's bottom line to the appraisers as well.
There was an old saying for that. The bitterness of poor quality remains long after the sweetness of low price is forgotten.
Oh, there you go.
You like that?
That is good.
It's true, though.
It is.
I mean,
All
the
right.
lowest rate isn't always the best rate.
That's right.
Let's face it.
Okay, we're only halfway through the month
Oh,
here.
sorry.
Let's keep rolling. All right.
No.
So next, so hopefully the appraisal is in. According to my little chart here, my little month here, you can see we're going to assume the appraisal is in. Everything goes to underwriting. But I do want to let you know that it goes to underwriting whether the appraisal is in or not. We want to get it at least approved. The most part approved by the underwriter. Underwriting sometimes can take, in the lesser busy times, 24 hours, and we got an approval already. Sometimes 48 hours, which is where we kind of stand to, in the heavy times. The most we've ever been anyway is 72 hours on an underwriting approval. Most of them are falling somewhere between 24 to 48 hours. Busier times, though, are going to be a little bit extra. And then the underwriter issues what's called, you can see on the 19th, the underwriter issues what's called a conditional approval. That every single approval comes through, every single lender as a conditional approval. That means, yes, you're approved. However, we always need these few things, right? They call them conditions, or they call them stipulations, stips, sometimes people call them. It's all the same thing. It's usually an updated pay stub, a letter about this or that. If something came up, they want an explanation for it. Most of the time, they're just little things from the borrower.
Assuming we did a good job on the front end.
Which we do.
I just wanted to give you that segue.
And the conditions are usually, relatively good. Sometimes, if something blindsided us, and that has happened too, but we're going to get into that in another show when we talk about the pitfalls, then it could take a little bit longer. But for the most part, the conditions are usually pretty easy to gather from the borrower, quick things. Sometimes a little longer from the appraiser. Sometimes the appraiser had to make an adjustment or change.
And we got to get them back out.
Things out of our control.
Yeah.
We've got to go back to the appraiser and say, fix this or fix that. Sometimes something came up on title that has to be cleared or changed or something like that before. So it's not just, we gave you our letter, get us our clear to close. Sometimes it's other things that are not directly related to the borrower that have to happen on the conditions. Most of the time, and we're going to get into this on another show, I know, most of the time the pitfalls are things like the assets, the banking accounts and stuff like that. That is probably the hardest in the whole transaction to get, because that is looked at so closely. But we're going to get into that on another show. So we got our conditional approval, and then you can see over the 22nd, 23rd, 24th, usually that's when we're gathering them. Like I said, usually getting from the borrower, we need an updated pay stub, we need an updated bank statement, we need a letter of explanation about this, you got a gift from mom or dad, we need to see their, the gift check or whatever it is. There's all kinds of stuff that happens.
And assuming the borrower gets it right back to us immediately. Yes. And we encourage the borrowers to say, get us this now.
Yes.
Because these timelines that we're dealing with, and someone says, I'll get it to you this weekend.
Yeah.
No, we need it now. Do you want to close on time? Do you want that backup offer to steal the house from you?
Yeah. So we really do try and stay on top of them, but that's where our realtor partners can come in and help us. And I know so many of you are so good.
And our buyers.
They just jump on top and they say, if you're not getting something, you let me know and I will go and drive out there and pick it up from them myself, that kind of thing. And we appreciate those kinds of things. And this is why we want to close on time too. But these are the things that can slow us down, because once we do get all of those conditions gathered together, it has to go back into the underwriter again so that she can say, yep, that's what I asked for, and that's what you showed me. Well, God forbid something comes up, like, it was the updated bank statement, and they see the updated bank statement, and now there's something else on there that made them question it. We need a little bit of time, a little bit of cushion, because, guys, things happen.
No.
Things happen.
All right, so we're on day 26.
25, we finally got our clear to close. Resubmitted, day 26, we get our clear to close. The CD Whether we get a clear to close or not, some lenders are very strict on this. They will not issue a CD
Which is a
until they have the
closing
clear to close.
disclosure, because that's a law
Right.
as well.
The
that came
law,
out.
3 days ahead of time. I know all you realtors know that. CD has to go out 3 days prior to closing. Some lenders will not. We do. We will issue a CD, even though we don't have our clear to close, just so that we can make sure that we're on time with that. But I do have it on the same day here. The CD goes out and we got our clear to close. But you can see, and I know this is November, and technically the 25th and the 26th, most people were closed because of Thanksgiving. But we're just showing you a timeline. This is why lenders need 30 days to do this stuff. Underwriting sometimes 24 to 48 hours, signing off on conditions and everything. So we got our clear to close, and then they start balancing on the CD. The title company and the closing department back and forth and balancing, and that's when we get our final numbers. Which brings us to the 29th. They're balancing the CD.
Thank goodness
for
Thanksgiving
closing
didn't happen this November,
on the
because
30th.
none of this would work.
I know. That's why, guys. That's why we need 30 days. That's the stuff that goes on. And we didn't, and that's in the case of a perfect loan, in the kind of volume that we're dealing with in today's world, because there's so many transactions going on.
I think you're setting yourself up for failure by taking a short contract.
Yeah, if you try and do a short contract.
Maybe you might get the offer, but, and I know people are fudging it and they're like, oh, I'll just ask for an extension. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. It makes the lender look bad because it's like our fault when it doesn't
I
close on.
know.
It's always the lender's fault, even when it's not. It is. That's
I'm telling a lot of my realtors will say this to me, and I'll say, it's tight. You guys know it's tight. There's 2 holidays
But
in December, and we're trying, and a million people trying to close within the same month. So it's just a matter of volume, and okay, we will do everything that we can, but just know that if we need an extension, we need an extension.
Right,
so.
right.
And a lot of it's up to the borrowers. A
Yep.
lot of it's up to the appraisals. It's not, trust us when we say we are on these files like peanut butter on jelly, or
Yeah. Something like that.
I'm bad at that stuff.
Wow. A lot to do. And then our next show, we're going to talk about mortgage pitfalls on what can go wrong during this fascinating 30-day process that you all are going to learn more about.
And I am going to be teaching a class at the West Pasco Board of Realtors that you are invited to join me on December 9th, this Thursday, that is going to talk more in depth about all of this stuff.
And we just brought up WPVA, which flashed on our screen. Don't forget, the Grinch is happening online, virtual. So go to WPVA.biz if you want to donate and support some local families in need this year. So, hey, that's this week's show. Thanks, everybody, for sharing and liking it.
We are today and every day.
Moving forward.
I'll
Have a
see
great
y'all
week.
next week. Bye-bye.